So the first thing in the practice and the first thing that you can actually do throughout the day is what we call arriving, which is just arriving at the present moment, which is probably the most profound form of listening. You know, like I know some of you are therapists or, you know, in different modalities, or, you know, coaches, or, and there's no coaching, there's no therapy without being able to listen, you know. And to be able to listen to others, to yourself, to a situation, the fundamental ingredient is being there. So there's a way of listening, of being there, which is, you know, your chunk of flesh is there, your ear is open, and you are registering sounds. You know, that's the external form of listening. And there's a, you know, a secondary form of listening is when you're actually listening to the context, yet you are listening in, like already preparing what you want to say next. Okay, there's really no room for this deeper listening. And there's this third level of listening, which is the level of presence, the level of you arrive into a situation and your senses are just relaxed, are open in this situation. You might still have feelings, you might still have thoughts, but they don't take over from your ability to just perceive the reality of a situation as the situation is. So this is what we call arriving in different ways we practice it. So you arrive to the present moment. That's the first ingredient of any practice, of any relationship. This is what determines really the success of anything. You know, you may be in front of a ball of clay, or you may be in front of a, you know, a ball of yarn, or you know, you're going to be doing some weaving, maybe in front of a very scary white page before you start writing, you know, or, you know, you may be in front of your instrument, or, you know, in front of a class of, you know, 30 kids. You may be in front of a Zillow page because you're moving and you want to buy a house, you know. So to listen to the essence of what you are about to engage, to relate to this, because any situation is constantly whispering, you know. I mean, I think anybody who has done some carving, or, you know, I always think of Clay here because Jim is here and he's an incredible potter. You know, there's no two balls of clay are the same. Would you agree? I mean, I don't know if I'm making it up, but you know, so if you are able to sit with that, no two situations are the same, you know. So if you're able to sit with that, then, oh, and then you start seeing these flags of energy, you know, which is life at its relative level. It's these flags, constant flags. And you're seeing these from this aspect of yourself, which is that which is ever present, you know, that consciousness that is perceiving versus that consciousness that is dynamic. So this is what we call this seamless wave, okay? This relationship between these two things. So you just sit, arrive, and then you activate this motivation in your heart, this beautiful motivation, which there's a motivation for you, okay? Now, always at the beginning of our practices. Here, this is in page 10, okay? And so you think, I'm gonna practice healing meditation. I'm gonna engage in pottery. I'm gonna engage, whatever it is that you're doing next. You know, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm gonna, anything. I'm gonna move to Portugal. Anything that you're doing. 2, 4, and you fill in the blank. You know, whatever it is. I think one of the most important things is really comes down to, I'm gonna practice healing meditation. This is what we're doing now. To find and stabilize a joyful path to fulfillment, a joyful path to a blissful life that is of benefit for myself and others. That really comes down to that. Then you can, fill in your blank based on whatever you are in need for yourself. And then we have this other altruistic motivation. I'm going to practice healing meditation to benefit both myself and all other beings, sentient beings without exception. May my practice generate an infinite ripple of healing, well-being, and awakening across all time and space. May the illnesses of all beings be healed, and may they never occur again. May my practice bring joy and clarity to all beings, helping all of us become aware of our perfect essence. May we have the courage to recognize this imperfect essence within everyone and everything. May this recognition awaken healing, joy, peace, and love within each of us throughout all of existence. So again, I mentioned the word courage here. It takes a lot of courage in any given situation to recognize that within everybody, within everything, there's that seed of pure potentiality, and therefore deliberately focus on those aspects that might be beneficial, or simply move on and into things that make you feel well, And then people tell me, oh, but this happened to me, why shouldn't I be thinking about it? If this disaster happened to me and it's important that I think about it. I say, sure, it's up to you. I'm not saying no. I'm saying this is your life. Whatever you do, just be aware that everything we experience, everything especially we focus on with our hearing, with our seeing, with our sensations, it's a vibration, and vibration, it's gonna alter how you feel. So it's really up to you. I prefer to focus on these beautiful sensations of healing, of joy and peace, of love within each moment, within each of us throughout all of existence. This is like peeling the layers of an onion, or like an intimate relationship where there's different degrees of depth. So we arrive, we activate the motivation, which softens our heart, and then we practice the centering and purifying breath to keep awakening these energies of the central channel, which contains our seat of pure awareness. So at your own pace, you can do 3 times, you know how to do it all. And this practice starts giving us the reality that we can use the breath to transform how we feel. Allow the breath to indicate when you want to exhale and inhale. It's not a mechanic practice. So you exhale, and then at some point the wave comes back with the inhalation, so you follow that. And you have inhaled, and naturally you hold the breath for a second, 2, whatever feels right, and then the body feels like exhaling, so you exhale. And as you inhale, there's this beautiful rainbow light coming in, filling up the whole body, radiating inside. And then as you exhale, any worries, any tensions, any stale energy just goes out. And then the rainbow light comes through both nostrils into the brain and then down the sides of the spine to the navel or just below the navel. Hold the breath there for a moment, and then you exhale through the center of the body and out the crown. And if you want, above the crown, there's this beautiful sphere of light that represents the embodiment of the nature of mind. So when our breath connects with there, there's this beautiful shower of golden rainbow light that surrounds us, drips in our surface and fills the body. 2 more times. And then naturally the mind just comes back down to rest either in the heart or in the abdomen. There's this sense of feeling present, this sense of being aware. The world is here, yet it's here in a different way. The world has become vibrant. Why? Because the world we perceived, it's not made out of dead objects. The world we perceive is the expression of the dynamic aspect of our awareness, which is divine awareness. And we know that everything we perceive is actually not just a solid frozen object, but is actually energy in vibration, atoms in movement that have an awareness, that have a sentientness to it. Like this cup, this thermos, to be this thermos has a degree of sentientness to it. It knows, oh, I'm a thermos. All these atoms make together a thermos. So the degree of sentientness goes from the very, very sentientness of a stone, which is just holding the atoms there, to the degree of sentientness of the divine, which is aware of being in everything and being everywhere, and at the same time just being this single blissful experience. So we love life, we relish life. Even when things get complicated, even when you come down to your basement and there's 40 gallons of water because the water heater broke. And then the guy comes to replace it and he said, oh, it's $3,500, whatever. There's no two lives. There's no the life of practice and the life of day-to-day. There's just one life. What there is two abilities to either perceive our life as a divine life itself, or just to perceive it as a chore that is filled with problems, of difficult people, of difficult situations. And to choose between those two options, it's really your freedom. It's not up to CNN or Fox or up to this or that politician. And that's a constant work in progress. That's the beauty of it. So you bring the attention or keep sustaining the attention in the breath, realizing, oh, This breath is the breath of life. This breath is the breath of the divine, is my breath. Like we in the first meeting, we read the Lord, this is from Genesis, at the beginning of Genesis, the Lord formed man, whatever, of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils and his face the breath and spirit of life. And man became a living soul. It's through every breath that you can connect with the divine. So you say, oh, this divine breath is in me. It's very funny because, you know, I regularly attend sessions with Margie, one of our teachers, and other teachers, you know, like there's acharyas and other Buddhist teachers, and it's very funny how after, you know, in a session of 2 hours, you know, like 90 minutes, you know, 105 minutes out of these very high philosophy, very complicated, you know, very like intricate discussions. And then when the rubber hits the ground, I think you say in English, then they go, and now let's breathe, you know. And in the breath, the teacher, the inner guide, summarizes everything. There's this profound sense of joy. So to deepen this experience, you start focusing, if necessary, into the spaces. Okay? At the end of the breath and the beginning of the breath, those openings. So you exhale, you follow the breath towards the end. There's this sensation of deeper peace, deeper opening. So you just contact there. And then naturally the breath comes in. And at the end of the inhalation, the same thing. And as you keep that breath, there's a natural tendency that that sense of opening, that sense of spaciousness just takes over. Reveals what is the foundation, the background. I remember being, some of you, we've been together in Leire, in the monastery of Leire in Navarra, in northern Spain, in St. James Trail. It's a beautiful, probably one of the, you know, best preserved, most beautiful monasteries in El Camino. We've been there with Ellen and Gary and I don't know if somebody else here, but and there's a crypt. You know, there's like underneath the church, there's a crypt, and when you walk down, and it's very beautiful. So I remember being there one day by myself, and there's these immense pillars. You know, maybe 5 by 5 in different, and then you become wider, but it's solid rock. You know, it's like granite, and practicing the breath there. And at some point, I just opened my eyes, and the guide, I had been there so many times, so the guide, it's a guided visit, but the guide just, you know, let me be there, and, you know, I'm sitting there, and at some point I open my eyes, and it's very beautiful, very silent, and I'm looking at the column, and I can see that the column is actually made out of infinite space. There's, you know, the column is several tons of rock, like solid rock, that if it falls on you, even one of the rocks kills you. And at the same time, because my mind had settled into the experience of the openness of the breath, everything that I was perceiving was just this beautiful, exquisite openness. So I'm sharing this with you because the important thing was not that I perceived that. The important thing is, like, when I left with that, I asked my inner teacher, my inner guide, the deeper awareness of my central channel, that is myself, that is each of you. May I remember this throughout my day, through all my days. So when things get challenging, so when people tell me stories that are very difficult, especially when I'm working at the office, that I may be able to connect them, to connect myself to this sensation of openness. Because when we connect with a sensation of openness, the feeling of our problems, the feeling of the intensity of day-to-day just gains a very, very deep perspective. And then you realize, oh, this thing that is happening to me is very important. It's my life, it's the life of myself with others, okay? And therefore I have to be careful and mindful and, look for solutions and act in ways that are of benefit to everybody, including myself. And at the same time, this thing is just a mirage of awareness reflecting itself on itself. So why not relish it? Why not enjoy it? Why not honor it without running away? And the practice of the body of space, which is the practice that we did last week, that's really what it leads towards, gradually, that sensation of, oh, my body is space. It's solid, I can pinch it, and sometimes I have a toothache, and sometimes, I get stomachache, and sometimes, I can go sledding, and it's there. And it's very enjoyable. And at the same time, it's just this expression of awareness. And therefore, I have two options. I either grasp to my strong sense of self-identity as this thing, this story, these goals, these a personality type, whatever, this beating myself when I procrastinate, this whatever it is. Or I realize that this is just an expression of the divine itself in all its shades. And then an extremely profound act of healing happens that is called self-love. Oh, this is my life. This is beautiful. And somebody comes and tells me something and I realize, oh, this is their life. This is beautiful. And they tell me, they come, to talk to me and they tell me, oh, I have all these problems. And they say, you are crazy. When I tell them, yeah, okay, there's a situation here, but this is your life. This is beautiful. And if anything that we are doing, if all these practices can guide you in this direction of connecting to yourself in this way, connecting to the world in this way, connecting to others in this way, then this is an immense success. And if they cannot connect in this way, we're still having fun together. So it's lovely anyway. No pressure. And if your eyes are closed, you can open them and just look around. Look around in a way that you don't interpret. Look around as just, you see the objects, you hear the sounds, but don't fixate on anything. Almost as if you were in a dream, you wake up in a dream and you look around, say, wow, this is a dream. And oh, this is a dream, this is happening within my consciousness. When you wake up in a dream and you're in a dream and you say, oh, I'm dreaming, and you look at things, you know that you're in your bed dreaming physically. So the objects are there, but you realize that, you know, they are not there. I'm looking around here now, and the walls are here, and it's almost like behind the walls there's just space. If I look at things in the way I look at things when I'm in day-to-day in the real life, I know behind the wall there's, you know, a furnace, and behind the furnace there's my car, and, you know. So we have this choice. We can condense things and therefore condense ourselves, or we can let things be relaxed and open, and therefore we be relaxed and open. And then at the end of our practices, we always read a dedication. So that was more a bit of a different way to practice. You can follow the instructions very specifically, or you can be more free form, as we did now. So by the merit of having practiced healing meditation, by the merit of having connected to the expansiveness of my being, to the preciousness of life, for the benefit of myself and others, may all beings without exception be well and happy. May there be peace in all lands, prosperity in all households, and joy in all hearts across all time and space. And may all the motivation prayers made for the well-being of beings become a reality.